friends. It's nice to be with you today. I'm just a fellow traveler. I hope that I might be able to help you in some way today. This is really what I have. It's just this presence, your presence, our presence. I have this mind with which I may decide. I can choose resentments, unforgiveness, grievances. I can choose in their favor, or I can choose forgiveness and love, acceptance, mercy, grace. What a gift today to have this choice. What a gift to be able to choose the latter. The ladder. For it is the ladder which we climb out of the insanity. Yes, my friends. I am one who has chosen to take refuge in absolute and unconditional forgiveness. For myself, it's all been in an effort to find my own sanity, really. That's it. I have no lessons of righteousness for you. I make this decision and devote myself entirely to this process today because it is the only way which I know how to live. I ask for your assistance. I ask for your help. And I give you the only help that I have to offer, which is this. We have the choice today. You know, the Christ showed us how to move through form with forgiveness. Could be viewed as simply as that. As we move through this world, like our form is constantly changing. I mean, you are not the same person that you were 10 years ago or 15 years ago, right? Every cell in your body has been replaced. How many mood states have we all been through in the last 10 years? You know, there is that which changes. Form changes. We're constantly moving through form, leaving form behind. And the Christ showed us how to move through form without pointing our finger at the form and saying, terrible form, I leave you behind, I hate you, I'll never come back to you. No, it was a different thing. The Christ showed us how to move through form with forgiveness. Like he was born into the story goes that he was born into a form where it was the external observations which determined righteousness, right? This is the form that the Christ was born into. It was the form in which external practices determine righteousness. And what the Christ was moving into this world was the form of the internal. He was saying, you know, the idea of the whitewashed tomb, right? You don't want to be a clean container on the outside with rot on the inside, right? And he said, you know, not only, it's not about, did you screw your neighbor's wife? It's like, did you want to? So it's, and so it's a matter, it was a matter of heart, right? So he was moving past the external form and into the internal form, the gazing inward. The kingdom of heaven is within. So we still haven't quite gotten that yet, right? I mean, if we look at ourselves honestly, we still think we're going to clean it up on the outside, and that's going to be enough. But I think we can see with all the conflict in the world, the unresolved conflict that we have in ourselves, apparently, so frequently, and that internal conflict results in more external conflict, right? So how do we clear ourselves? How do we find a way to make peace with the world? And the answer was also in the Christ is forgiveness, right? Release. If this isn't your story, that's fine. I'm not asking you to join a club. I'm not asking you to sign any papers, take a pledge of allegiance to a name. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm just suggesting that we might find peace in releasing. For instance, if we move through a relationship, maybe a relationship phases out in our lives, can we pass through that form with forgiveness in our hearts, with absolute and unconditional forgiveness? Or are we holding grievances? When we leave a job or a church or any kind of situation, are we leaving with an angry heart, with accusation, pointing fingers, or are we moving through form while forgiving? What the Christ showed us how to do was see through form, to see through the illusion, right? The illusion of, so much, we all understand that so much in our world is an illusion, right? So much we have created this kind of false place to be for ourselves. So much of it, if we look at the monetary system, just the political system, it doesn't make sense to us, right? Because it's not real. There's nothing we can't really wrap our heads around it, because it's not, it's a false invention, right? Full of falsehood. And we get that, right? We invented science to try to have some kind of objective understanding of the way the world works, but then we found, once we got down to the quantum level, that, oh my God, everything is made of nothing, and nothing is nearly as solid as we thought it was, right? So it's all kind of this illusion. So seeing through the illusion is the first part, right? And anytime somebody says that's bullshit, that's what they're doing, is they're seeing through the illusion. That's bullshit, right? That's us seeing through the illusion. Bullshit. But if we're just like, calling bullshit, that's really only half the deal. We need to be able to call bullshit and then forgive the bullshit. If we just call bullshit, then we end up, it's just like, oh, we're just angry at the bullshit. But we're going to forgive that bullshit. We're going to love that bullshit, embrace that bullshit, walk through the bullshit with love in our hearts, if that's what we've got to do, right? To get out of the bullshit, whatever it is. So we see through the form. And then just as the Christ did in the story, the example on the cross, is he was like, he saw through the form, and then there was forgiveness, right? He understood that beyond the form that we can see is the only true thing that really is, which is love. He understood that there was no separation of self. He knew that he was actually forgiving himself as he was asking his Father to forgive those on the outside of him, because he knew he understood, like the idea of judge not lest ye be judged. Why? Because when you point your finger at someone else, you're actually pointing it at yourself, because there is no real separation of self. what we see on the outside is actually what we're projecting. It's us. So the Christ is the one who first forgave. Right? And that doesn't have to be historically, I'm not talking about literal history here. That's the story, though, is that there was perfect forgiveness in a human being, right? And forget about the literal aspect of that, because that's not what I'm not asking you to believe in that. I'm just asking you to look at the story. If you choose. Obviously, there's no demand that I'm making here. You're on YouTube. You can switch as quickly as you'd like, right? I understand. We've got pretty short attention spans right now. I get it. We're just like searching for something to give us some kind of gratification, right? And forgiveness is not super popular these days, so I don't expect this video is going to go viral anytime soon. But who knows? Maybe for a couple of people, it might be helpful. Yeah, so we leave form behind, right? At one point, we may be at a job and we're like, bullshit. We may be at a church and we're like, oh, come on, this is bullshit. But the idea is we move through form while forgiving. We're in a marriage, and at some point we're like, bullshit. You know, it's like, okay, let's move through the form and let's forgive. It's all okay. It's all okay. So we see through the illusion, then we forgive the illusion, and then after that is a resurrection, a new life, a new way of being, a deeper consciousness, an acceptance of what is, and the capacity to walk in a forgiven world among beings that we have already forgiven. And this is the choice that we get to make. We have this mind and we have this will, and we choose forgiveness. We choose to love. And as we make that choice, something happens in the world, especially when we begin making it with other people, when we work through situations that would have been impossible. And I've seen this happening in my life recently in such profound ways. Working through circumstances and situations and conversations that in the past would have just been absolutely impossible. But there's help for us. There is spirit. We have a connection to a deeper power than this ego, right? We have this false self. And this false self is the angry one, is the resentful one, is the jealous one, is the hurt one. The false self is the one who believes that the world is doing something to him. The false self is the victim. We are not victims of the world that we see. We create the universe that we see around us. We create the world. We create the relationships. And how we choose in our own hearts as we move into and out of relationships changes our entire future, right? Future is an illusion too, but this is how it appears to us on this timeline, right? We know from science even that time and space are not the solid things that we once thought they were. So yes, we don't just call bullshit, that we forgive the bullshit. And then we have a new experience, right? We have a brand new experience as we forgive that bullshit. We are resurrected. We have a new life. We've written a new future for ourselves. And this is the good news today, my friends. I'm so grateful for you. I hope this is helpful to someone out there, because it's my goal at this point. This is what I have. This is what I have. This is what I do. I'm just trying to just be one of the many, many voices of awakening right now that are helping us to understand that this illusion of separate self is not real. You are not alone. You are never alone. You never have been alone. And that's what Spirit does for us. That's what Spirit informs us of, is that you are not alone. You are at home. You are not in danger. Suffering is not real. Loss is not real. Sickness is not real. And we can begin to see through these experiences of suffering and sickness. We can actually see beyond them. We can watch these disturbances dissolve. And then on the other side of these grievances, on the other side of these sufferings, is a miracle. On the other side is a miracle. And I've been seeing these miracles daily in my life. This is the news that I very quietly and calmly bring you today. I love you all. I love you all. It's the choice that I make. And it is a beautiful choice. So clear, so clean, so pure. Thank you, my friends. Thank you.